Our next guest speaker, Katherine Hawes, will speak to us. She's from Digital Age Lawyers, and she's going to speak about business structure and protection. And look, I suppose it's like a lot of things, you know. There are areas like accountancy and that, we go, oh, geez, I don't want to hear about it. But seriously, you know, presented well and with the right information can be just so helpful for your business. So would you please put your hands together for Katherine? Thank you very much.
Obviously, I'm slightly shorter than everybody else, and I might actually... Can I have your mic? I mean, normally people can hear me quite well, even in a very large and enclosed courtroom. So, my name's Katherine Hawes. I'm the principal of Digital Age Lawyers, and I'm probably the longest resident in Blacktown here today. I was actually born at Blacktown Hospital 49 years ago, and I still live here. I'm also probably the only person in Blacktown who's appeared before the full court of the High Court at the age of 25 and a woman. I was going to tell you just a little story, and it's a story about resilience, and it's a story about hope. I grew up here. At the age of 15, I wrote to one of the barristers at 6th floor Selborne Chambers, and I went there for work experience. I then left it as a barrister 10 years later at 25, and I was the youngest woman to appear before the full court of the High Court. Having done that, I was then sitting in a very large meeting with some important people from a very large law firm with senior counsel there, and I was asked to make some coffee. And I thought lesson 1 will be learnt today by these people. So what I did was I went and made the coffee, then served it round like the dutiful junior I was meant to be, even though I was the most successful one in the room. Then people took a sip, and they never took another sip after that. What I had done was I'd put a little drop of dishwashing detergent in the bottom of each of those cups. And needless to say, I was never asked to make coffee again. So anything is possible, no matter what your background is. So I now run not one law firm, I actually run 3 law firms. So what I am here today to talk about is, as a business owner, what you need to do to ensure your business is successful. And you know what? It's 2 words. And I know lawyers are noted for using very long, complicated French words. Not me, or Latin for that matter. Failed both of those. But you need to control your business and you need to protect your business. And the way in which you go about that will determine if you have a successful business. So when you are decision making, you need to think, am I controlling my business by making this decision? And by controlling, what I mean is this. Am I letting out a trade secret? Am I breaching a contract? So am I controlling the way in which my business operates? Then am I protecting? So I know we all dislike the word contract. You know, it's sort of like a few other C words. We don't like to talk about it. You know, we don't like to discuss it. Oh, if I give them a contract, they won't like me anymore. Listen up, you're in business. You're not here to be liked. Okay? And a contract does not mean that you are not liked. It actually means that you look rather professional. So do not shy away from having agreements in your business. Now, we've all had a difficult 18 months. So what I have found, and at Digital Age Lawyers, what we focus on is assisting you to control and protect your business. So over the last 18 months, what we've assisted businesses to do is to deal with COVID as best as possible, to have their contracts, what happens. But now as we are coming out of COVID, reopening, we've come up with a checklist that we think businesses should go through from a legal point of view. Okay? Now, as Trevor said, most people, normally I ask people to lock the doors when I start to speak so nobody can leave because it is about law. But you need to review your current policies and procedure. Business has changed. And I'll give you one absolute example of that. I was contacted by Rotary, who, as we all know, do markets face-to-face. Obviously, COVID put a stop to that. So what happened was they decided that they would put the normal, store holders onto a website. Because we've all been told to pivot. I won't try it because I'll probably break a leg, but we've all been told to do this pivot. So, but just putting what you used to do onto a website comes with consequences. So with those store holders, what happens if one of the goods doesn't work? Is it Rotary's problem? Where are their website terms and conditions? Where the policy of what they can sell? Do they have to have authentication? All of these things are remarkably different from having a face-to-face or a shop front or a store holding or providing your services face-to-face. So you do need to really consider the new business environment we now operate in. Now, probably from my name you can guess, we're digital. Okay, we are a paperless law firm. So we do not use paper, we have cloud-based systems, and we use technology to provide you with services. And that is, in a sense, where I also understand other business owners have to operate. And we provide, that guidance to ensure that you're controlling and protecting your business. So one of the things you need to look at is your business structure. So many times people come into my office and they go, I'm a partner in a sole trader with a corporation. And I go, oh, well, you've got multiple personalities. Maybe you need a psychiatrist, not a lawyer. Okay? Because most people do not understand. And it's not about the fact that, any of this is ever taught, but my concern is you understand the consequences. So if you're a sole trader and a partner, your personal assets can be at stake. Okay? Company, not so much. It's about risk. And that's one thing we are passionate about, is ensuring you understand your legal risks. So what I would suggest is, as part of coming out of COVID, do you have the right structure to grow? And this is an individual decision. Some of my clients just want to take, a couple of photos of some christenings. They don't want to be any bigger, they just want some money on the side. Others want to grow a business into a multi-corporation. That's your choice as a business owner. Don't let anybody else take that away from you either. If you're happy doing what you're doing, don't get caught up in the Instagram posts that say owning your own business is so wonderful. Look at me, I'm really only 15 and the grey hair's already there. So, you do need to think about, are you in the right structure for what you want to achieve? Contracts. Cannot stress enough the need for you to have agreements in your business. Okay? And it doesn't matter what you're operating, it doesn't matter, if you're a sole trader. You need to think about, and what I do is I get people to picture, in your mind, your business is a circle in the middle. You're going to have upstream contracts and downstream contracts. It's your responsibility to control and protect your business by having agreements in place. So who can remember what they had for lunch on the 17th of November 2019? Nobody? Anybody even remember what underwear they were wearing? I don't want to know if you weren't.
Rice and curry.
Okay. We have one person. So, what about if you made an agreement on that date? And you made the agreement over the telephone for some delivery of goods or for some services? You're not going to remember it, are you? So, really important you have it in writing. It just makes your life less complicated. The other thing is that we all love to use technology, and I'm a great fan of it. But you know what? Facebook Messenger should not be where you write your contracts. Okay? Use has a very different meaning. Okay? The way in which we use social media platforms to communicate is vague, can be a bit deceptive. It is not the way in which we need to communicate if we're doing business. 50% of my business comes from social media platforms, but I don't do business on there. I get them off, we do an email, they get a contract, we go forward. Okay, so really important. So these are just some of the things that we say you need to have in your business to ensure it's protected. Some of the other things in your terms and conditions you have, okay, can't stress enough, whether it's goods or services, you need to have a set of guidelines, which is all a contract is, of dealing with your clients or your customers. One of the key things up there, well, there's probably a few, but you need to ensure that you set out what you're going to do, what you're going to provide, the timelines in which you're going to do it. Okay? It just saves so much grief in the end. One of the things that's come out of COVID is that some people couldn't perform their obligations under a contract. And all a contract is a promise. You know, I promise to buy your mountain bike, you promise to sell me a mountain bike for $250. That's what a contract is. Okay, it's a promise. So, through COVID, we couldn't always fulfill our promises. And a lot of the time it was because it was outside our control. One of the key things I would ask you to look at in your contracts, and I promised I wouldn't use, but force majeure. It is a clause in a contract and it must be written into the contract. It can't be added in later, it must be there. That says, you know, if certain conditions, which can include a public health order, which can include a natural disaster occur, and you can't fulfil your obligation, then you're excused from it. Okay? So many of my clients did not have that in their contracts. You know, one of my clients did have the Constitution of the Americans in there and the Bill of Rights, which I did point out wasn't Australian, but you really need to look at your contracts, what they say, and are they now for the world in which we live. Then finally, we are in a world of social media and digital law. Now there's two up there that I just want to briefly touch upon, which are smart contracts. Yes, they're coming. They're blockchain technology, whereby you will be able to start a contract, finish a contract, and it will just, payments will go out of bank accounts. There is the ledger behind it. The construction industry is looking at this. So you'll lodge your plans, maybe with council, and all the way through, it will just have automated steps. So these are the coming contracts. The other up there is emoji law. Yes, it does exist. And yes, 2 thumbs up and 2 champagne bottles have been held to be acceptance of a contract. So, and don't get me started on the kissy thing that goes around on emails as sexual harassment. So again, you need to consider the environment in which you work in. Maybe not the one in which you socialise in. The two are very different. So when, you know, emoji law comes around, you need to consider, is it appropriate to put 2 thumbs up and 2 champagne bottles? Is that what I am communicating? And the last thing up there is electronic contracts. Okay, COVID has made a huge leap in law. I've actually got a judge who can turn on a computer. There's small steps all the way. But electronic signatures are here to stay. Now, it doesn't mean that you accept it. There are programs, there are systems in place, but they are enforceable and they will be enforced. So on that note, I leave you with the bright new world we're going into of digital and social media law. So you do, as a business owner, need to understand the legal environment in which you operate. So on that note, I'll leave you with a happy face.